Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're already part of the Sprinkle Squad. I'm so happy to see you again, and as I promised in my last video earlier this week, I have got a long speed build for you. So this speed build comes to like 45 minutes-ish, maybe like 43. So be sure to grab a snack, get cozy, and hang out with me for a little while we talk about this modern family ranch that I built. I got inspired to actually build one of these because I was actually watching a video by Sid Mack. If any of you know who that content creator is, her stuff is so wonderful. I highly recommend. So fun to watch. She does a lot of the like every room is a different whatever, like Disney character or just different all kinds of stuff. So highly recommend. But she was doing something, and I think it was like, you know, every room is a different expansion pack or something. And I think she was working on the exterior of her house and she was using the horse ranch pack, which I don't use very often at all. Like, I think I kind of made a dedicated like ranch build right when it came out. And then I basically have never touched it since. I guess it's not usually my like vibe, I guess, of house that I like. So when I was watching her video, I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot how lovely these swatches are. And I was like, I need to build with the horse ranch pack again. Like that, I have to do that. So that's kind of what inspired this to begin with. So I wanted one of these like big modern like farmhouses with like the attached barn, and like I think sometimes it's a garage, but I wanted to use it as a barn so that like you actually have room to have horses. And I will say I don't have many amenities on this lot for horses, since there is actually like this horse area right behind the lot where you can go and like train with your horse. And I think you can also take them to like, is it the equestrian center or something like that, like in the actual world of Chestnut Ridge, and actually train with them there so that you can compete. So I figured really like, so long as there's a place for you to take care of the horses, like you can easily take them like in different places of the world if you would like to. And I will say I struggled a little bit with actually how I wanted this set up. I'm so incredibly happy with the way it turned out, like I'm not going to lie. And of course I made my life harder because I made the first floor, I think I used the tall wall height, which if you never use it, it is so tall. Like it is honestly just unreasonable. It is just so gigantic, but I liked it for the look of the exterior. So then I thought, you know what, this will be a future Rachel problem when I actually have to decorate the inside of the house with the tall wall height. I just really like it on the outside. And I wanted to do this really lovely like overhang in the back. Like you walk out to this beautiful like pool and just this like relaxing environment. And I wanted to actually use a platform kind of thing and put I don't think it's actually a platform. I think it's technically a room. I'm trying to remember. One of them, I think it's platforms you can't like put a pool on, but I think if you use like the like flat square piece, you can actually put the pool in it. So I raised it up a little bit because I just thought that would look really cool, which, don't get me wrong, caused me a little bit, you know, some difficulties later because it can't really interact with the house because the house doesn't have a foundation. And so, but it works out, and I'm really happy with the way it turns out when we're finally finished with it. And you can see I mess around a lot with like what I want the roofing to look like. I wanted it to be kind of dynamic and interesting to actually look at, and I wanted this big, beautiful front porch. And one of the issues I had too with using this really tall wall height was finding a front door for this home. I wish, you know, since like the tall wall height is something that we have in the game, I wish we had more doors for it. We don't have very many, and if you try to use like a short wall height door with like on a like tall wall height, it's like, it looks so tiny, especially next to like those big tall windows I have, which I wanted to also have a bunch of windows. I really wanted like you to really have that nice scenic outlook on like the world and everything. So I just think it was a whole lot of fun. And honestly, I do end up tweaking, I think, the upstairs a little bit. I think I make it a little bit wider, at least that part over there closer to the barn, because I really, you know, when I started looking at it, I was like, maybe it'll just be like a 1-bedroom. I'm like, this place is way too big for a 1-bedroom. And I feel like if you have a ranch farmhouse, like you're gonna have kids and like, so anyways, I wanted to make sure that there was actually room for like some kids as well. So we end up having a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, and the whole downstairs is all just like common living space. And we have this like big, beautiful office that overlooks the backyard. And I thought about putting some windows so you could see into the barn from the living room, but I opted not to do that. You can of course do that, but I thought, I don't know if that's something that usually happens. like in these homes. But anyways, I opted not to do that, but you could easily add a window if you actually want to be able to see in there. And I actually, for the screenshots, I ended up actually having the sim adopt 2 horses to have in in the stable. So I do have some screenshots with the horse in there, and it's so cute. Like, I loved it so much, which I actually used to. So if you've been following my channel for a long time, first of all, thank you. But second of all, I used to actually do screenshots with Sims and pets and all of that. And those are really cool. However, they were a lot of work. Like, it was just so difficult. I mean, even if you're someone who's just played The Sims, you know the pain. You can't ever have a whole family like sit at a dinner table to eat together. Like, can you imagine like taking screenshots with that? Like, so I don't really do that anymore. But this one, I was like, I need to have horses in the barn. Like, that seems like something I need to have for these screenshots. So be sure to stick around for those. I honestly really love the way the screenshots turned out and everything in this house. Really, like, it makes me want to play in this house. I don't do a whole lot of gameplay. Like, I've done some gameplay. Like, I did a series on my Twitch channel, the Big Sister Challenge, which I do have up on my second YouTube channel, which I don't mention too often, but Extra Spice and Sprinkles. The link is down below if you want to check it out to see like VODs, and if you want to go back and watch that gameplay series. And like, that's not like an edited, it's literally like just stream footage, which, you know, we had a whole lot of fun. And I was about to start a new gameplay like let's play over on my Twitch channel, but I've just been taking a break from it, so we'll see. I mean, hopefully I get back to it. It's just been, you know, life has been crazy, so I'm really trying hard to get back into just speed builds, and then we'll kind of see, you know, where things go. But I've been really excited to get back to building. But this was, of course, I took on this giant build, and I know I mentioned in my last video that it took me so long. I think I actually did it in like 5 different sittings. Like, I kept having to come back to it. Some of which is because like I had to leave the house because I had plans or something. Like, I was going to my parents' house or something, and, you know, going to dinner. So some of it was that, and some of it was just like I needed a break from the build. I need to like refresh my brain. And so you can see here, this is actually where the first break in footage is I actually, you know, did this terrain paint, trying to figure out exactly what I wanted. I liked that like rounded driveway kind of look. And so here's the thing, you know, if you follow The Sims a lot or you build, you know that there is an issue with terrain paint where basically it'll just delete itself for absolutely no reason. Like, you leave the lot or you just close your game and you come back and then boom, it's gone. Well, that happened. So you'll see that I actually lose all of this terrain paint at one point, and that's because I ended up like stopping and then coming back to it. So I don't bother doing the terrain paint till like the end of the build, so I can immediately take screenshots and it'll look really nice and pretty, and then upload it to the gallery. So hopefully if you download it from the gallery, it keeps all of its, you know, terrain paint intact, so fingers crossed for that. But, you know, of course, if it does delete it, basically you can just follow the path of like where the cars are and like just around all the vegetation. I put like dirt and stuff, so hopefully it's not too bad if you have to fix it. But this is already up on the Sims 4 gallery under my ID Spice and Sprinkles, all one word, all lowercase, and down in the description if you want to see it written out. I also use hashtag Spice and Sprinkles on my builds, so hopefully you have an easier time finding them. And this was actually, I didn't write it down, which, oh, it's Biscuit's Bastion, I think is what that top says. I forgot. I usually write down where I built it, so when I upload it I can put it on there, but I forgot to write it down. But I think that's what the top left of my screen actually says. So like on my editing software is where I actually am doing this voiceover. Like, the screen's actually really tiny, so the font's really tiny, so hopefully that was actually the right name of it. But for all of my builds, I do include the world and the cost of the lot and what lot it was built on, so that, you know, just in case you are wondering, you know, if it's a starter home, which most of my builds are not. If it is a starter home, it's probably in the title, just because I really don't do budgets very often, because I just really like to build whatever I want to. But I do have a few base game and a few starter and a few just like kind of challenge builds. I think I did one for, what was it? I forgot which year anniversary of The Sims I did. Was it like 22 or 21 or 20-year anniversary? I actually did like 2,000 simoleons or something for a lot, so that was kind of interesting. But anyway, so I do have some budget builds, and I also have some limited pack builds. I do have a playlist for that, so you can find that on my channel if you'd like to actually know which of my builds are limited pack, which again, I don't have a ton of them. But I did do one recently. In case you didn't see it, I did it for Island Living. But I've kind of like wanted to make a playlist of at least having it one house per pack would be really nice to actually, so like if that's the only pack you have, you're able to like download a home for. And I need to kind of maybe get back to that, but I also just feel like I have to be inspired to do it, if that makes sense. Like this, for instance, is not a limited pack build by any means, but I did try to heavily use horse ranch when I did it, because obviously that would make a whole lot of sense since I'm making a ranch. And I ended up using a lot of the dark wood swatches, which ended up being so pretty, but when I ended up adding that front door, I ended up bringing in some of the more like lighter orangey tones, which honestly I think added a little extra dimension and a little extra color. So we bring that inside as well. We do have some dark woods and then those lighter woods, and like I mentioned, you can see like my terrain paint is gone, but like I think I do like at this point move inside, and then at the end I go back outside to finish some of the landscaping. I kind of jumped inside and outside for this build just because, like I said, I just had to like mess with it to really figure out what I wanted. And because of this tall wall height too, I ended up having to add in some like little windows in places for things to make sense. And I will say I cut out the footage from me actually trying to place the stairs. I honestly a lot of times have a hard time placing stairs just because I just I don't know, I like to do dynamic, like trying to like twist the stairs around and do stuff like that, and sometimes it can be kind of difficult. I don't know if anybody else has issues with stairs or like it's just me, but trying to figure out exactly where I want it and how it's going to land upstairs but also still look good downstairs. But I'm really happy with this, and I'm also happy, of course, since we did the taller wall height, I could put like a window right there kind of on the stair landing like halfway up, which ended up looking I think really cute. And then since I ended up kind of raising up the porch area, so it's not a foundation, it's actually a platform, I ended up having to put some platforms on the inside so that it made a little more sense when you came in the house. And I ended up doing this, honestly, it's a rather large kitchen for this home. Well, I mean, it's a large home, so I guess it makes sense for the home, but it's just a huge, huge kitchen. And I end up having these big pillars, which I thought would be so nice and really bring in the stone from outside, because I use it as an accent in several places of the build, because I just figured it's a little bit rustic and would make a whole lot of sense here. But I end up having this like huge island area, and then we end up having a really large dining space as well. So I figured, this is a really cool place for your Sims to actually have get-togethers, and like maybe this family really likes to have people over. And I do put a bar area in here as well. I end up kind of sticking the bar over there, and then I have to like come back to it. I did, again, like downstairs I jumped around a little bit, kind of figuring out what I wanted to do, somehow making this really large space feel still cozy and warm, like it's got that like farmhouse kind of feel, but that it's not like overwhelming with just a bunch of stuff. I don't know, I really try to make it make sense. And I did put a double oven in here, so I figured, again, if this sim is entertaining, maybe they have a caterer, that kind of thing that comes over. And I end up actually, I don't extend the counters out to the left and right in terms of it being kind of part of the kitchen. I end up actually on the left side, I end up putting in like a little coffee area. I just thought that would be kind of cute. I don't like use the coffee items super often, but I thought it would be really nice here. And then on the right side, I do actually end up putting in, I think it's Cottage Living. Oh my gosh, what is that item from? I think it might be Cottage Living, but it looks like it's like that little bench that has like herbs and like the canning stuff and everything. So I ended up putting that over there because I thought, it might be nice if they have a little garden. Maybe they actually make some of their own food, because I do actually end up putting a gardening area outside in the backyard, because I figured, if you have horses, I thought about putting in like chickens or like the mini goats or something, but I just opted to keep it as the horses and then having like a gardening area. And I also put nectar making back there. I figured that's, kind of necessary for this pack, since it's like one of the big skills we got with it, along with obviously the horse riding. I do end up putting this like cute kind of, I intended it to kind of be like a little buffet space, like a buffet table over in the dining room area, but I end up just like putting clutter on it, so you would have to move that stuff in order to actually use it. But I don't know, I just ended up putting this really pretty like cactus painting here, because I figured I tried to do a lot of the pictures that have to do with ranch, desert, like kind of areas, so I think that turned out really well. And then of course we have that like place to put all your stuff when you come in the door. But I left the actual stairs when you come in the door fairly empty. I didn't want it to be super cluttered. I still wanted this to be, while still being cozy, but still being open, if that makes sense. And like the living room area, that's actually where I end up putting the office, because it's so large that I was like, I don't know what I want to do with this. Like, this is just excessive. So putting the office back there, I think, made a whole lot of sense. And I know I'm kind of talking about things in a kind of a weird order, because obviously I'm still here cluttering the kitchen, but I'm like talking about the living room, but I'm kind of talking about stuff as it comes to me, since I did do this build actually a few days ago. So the build I just posted earlier this week, I did after I built this one. So I'm kind of posting out of order from the way I actually built them, just because this voiceover is going to take me a whole lot longer to actually do and edit, since obviously just talking is going to take me 40 minutes plus the editing. And I ended up taking, I think there were a total of like 55 screenshots I took. There aren't quite that many like at the end of this video. I take a bunch of screenshots, and especially I take screenshots that I think might be good for like the thumbnail for the video, not necessarily for like the end of, you know, the video kind of pictures. But just going through those took me a little while, and ordering them the way I want to. And to be clear, I'm not complaining about it. I do really enjoy it. And honestly, like, even if I struggle through a build and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad this build is over, like when I go look at the screenshots and stuff, it makes me so happy. Like I just super enjoy that. I love seeing that end product, which, I mean, I know I've said this before recently. I feel like in another life I'd be an interior designer, but I just, you know, and I've thought about that, like I could go back to school and like get training for that, but honestly, I just really like doing this as a hobby, and I feel like it'd be a lot of pressure to do that for like actual clients and making sure that they're happy and all. So I kind of rather put that like decorating energy towards my own home, or like in The Sims, I feel like is a good place to direct all of that energy. So that's kind of what I end up using here. And of course, because I use these tall windows, finding curtains to match was a whole entire thing. But I think it turned out really nicely, to be honest. And just putting those baskets on the wall with that little like canning thing, like I said, I think that's from Cottage Living. You know, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like the more packs we get, the like the harder for it is for me to remember like where all of the items come from. But I do try my best to kind of mention where they come from in case you are curious. Of course, if you have any questions about the items I've used, things like that, feel free to ask me. I do try to like get to my comments as soon as possible and, you know, help you out if I can. Obviously, if you have technical questions about, especially like, because I play on PC, so I have had people ask me about kind of like console stuff, which those are like questions that are harder for me to answer just because obviously I don't play on console. So again, if you ever see someone asking about, you know, console issues, or, you know, in my comments, if you are someone who knows the answer or someone who plays on console, you know, feel free to answer them. That's kind of what we're here for. This is just a community of people that enjoy The Sims, or honestly, if you just enjoy having voiceovers, because I know some people just like listening to voiceovers in the background, you know what I mean? Just having someone kind of hanging out with you while you're working. I feel like I do that with especially like Twitch, and like I watch people like stream and stuff, like while I'm like working on builds or editing or something like that, to kind of have somebody like in the background. Although a lot of times I feel like I do music as well, but sometimes it's fun to just kind of go and, you know, hang out with people that enjoy doing the same things you like doing, you know what I mean? And also, out of curiosity, do you guys like doing like gameplay or building, or do you even play The Sims? I'm just wondering, or let me know too, like if you're a PC or a console player, because, you know, it's fun to learn a little more about my community, is like who's actually watching what I'm building, just so like, I don't know, it's just fun to know those kinds of things. But here's where I actually kind of put in the office area back there, which was so fun to put in those big windows. Like I was mentioned, you can actually see out into the backyard, and it looks so lovely, and it makes the living room a little more cozy. But the living room is still super big, and I actually start introducing a lot of plants in here, which I figure too, if somebody's into like gardening, they might have like a bunch of plants in their living room, that kind of thing. And also just bringing in, so the blue from the counters I had in the kitchen, I brought the blue in here with the carpet. And I also ended up bringing in the cabinetry, because I figured maybe they kind of had like a built-in like cabinet situation around this fireplace. Again, given that this wall is so tall, that that's something that they would have. And I kind of also like the idea of having those little windows above the couch kind of into the office. Like I feel like it makes it a little more open, and it allows light to come through, like especially like in real life, I feel like that would be something that would be nice if you just had a giant wall, but being able to actually utilize some of that sunlight that came in. Because the apartment that I lived in during my master's program, the bedroom actually had like 3 little windows on the bedroom wall, like above the bed, like way at the top. And it was actually really nice just to have that extra sunlight coming in. And I feel like I don't usually put that kind of stuff in my builds, but maybe I need to, because I don't know, I think it's really nice. And I really love the natural light too that comes in with the Sims. And I also really like when I do screenshots and stuff, I always have a Sim come to the lot and actually light the fireplaces and everything. I think it makes a huge difference for lighting. That's also why I use a lot of like candles and things in my builds, because it casts a really nice light in the room. So it's not quite that like bright white light, but really has that like warm feeling. So if that's something you're trying to change without actually changing the lighting color, if that makes sense, you can just use candles and things like that in the natural light. And like the fireplace just helps a whole lot. Like for instance, in the parents' bedroom upstairs, I have like one of the little fireplaces. And when I took screenshots originally, I forgot to have a Sim light that fireplace because I forgot I put it in there. And when I had the Sim go back and light it, like the difference in the screenshots was like, it was actually a pretty big difference. Like when you had the fireplace on, it was really nice. I also do have a reshade on my game. So if you've ever wondered why my game looks a little bit different, it also makes things a little bit brighter. So it is, I think it's Dove 2.0. I believe I have it listed down in my description too, if you are wondering what kind of reshade I use. I really enjoy it because it just brightens up my game a lot. And I typically don't use it though when I'm streaming because it does cause issues with my camera. Although I did get a new graphics card for Christmas and I haven't really streamed since then, which is so crazy because it is already May. But I'm hoping maybe the new graphics card allows me to use the reshade while I stream. Again, hopefully I'll get back to that. I know I've mentioned that a few times. It's just, you know, I'm slowly getting back into the swing of things. Like I finally took care of some of my medical stuff. Like it was a whole entire thing when I moved. So this is like Rachel's story time right now. So I actually see an allergist. I have really bad allergies, like seasonal and like environmental allergies, like year round, like it's really bad. So if you're someone who has allergies like that, I feel you and I totally understand. So I actually take allergy shots. And when I moved, with allergy shots, you kind of have to like stay on your regimen. So I had to like bring those specific vials over, and like I now live a few hours away from where I did. So I had to like keep going back like every 2 weeks to go get my shots and trying to like negotiate being able to get my shots transferred to my new allergist. It was like a whole entire thing. And so I think I've finally gotten that worked out, but it has taken so long. So we've had to luckily my husband has gone with me every time we had to make the drive back just to get like shots. It was just a whole thing. So I really appreciate him going with me, because like it would be really boring to go by yourself so many times. But anyways, like that was a little bit of a story time. So it's just been a lot of stuff going on, and like I mentioned, just like really trying to get this house set up, and we've been doing a lot of stuff, just like a little bit of a little bit of redecorating and things like that, which has been a whole lot of fun. I've still got plenty of work to do, and it'll probably take me a while because furniture is crazy expensive. I think I mentioned that in a recent video as well. It's just like, it's really insane. Although, you know, I have been looking on like Facebook Marketplace and other places to try to find like deals on furniture, just because like I didn't, like for instance, I think I mentioned, I'm pretty sure that I just got a really pretty like wooden bed frame for my bedroom, and if I had gone to a store and bought something like that, it would have been like $5,000. Like it's insane. But I found it for like $400, and it's like in such good condition. Like honestly, so excited. But it was like really funny. We put it together and then I decided to move it across the room. It was a whole entire thing. But anyways, it is getting put together. I finally put like my duvet together because I got a new duvet cover, and then I finally put the insert in there. So I've been slowly doing stuff, and like our upstairs bathrooms don't even have shower curtains. Like, so it was a brand new build. Like we didn't like build it, if that makes sense. Like it was a build that was just finished and we bought it, and it was just like, I don't know, like they didn't put any like shower rods in, so we need to do that and stuff. It's just little things here and there. We're just trying to get stuff done and trying to get our dogs acclimated, which I have 3 Yorkies. I don't know if I've mentioned it recently. I do have some pictures on my Discord if that's something you're interested in. We do have a little pet channel and a food channel, like all kinds of stuff if you want to come hang out with us there as well. And anyways, I've talked over a lot of this build, so I apologize. So upstairs, we actually have, like I said, 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. All of that is up here. And I end up basically having an ensuite for the parents and then a bathroom for the kids. I end up doing like a nursery and then another room I figured for like 2 kids. And of course, if you have, you know, like children of different ages. Oh my goodness, I can't talk. This is what happens when I have to do longer voiceovers. Like I lose the ability to speak properly. Anyways, so if you download this and you want to change stuff around, feel free to do so. That totally doesn't bother me. Change it to what you need for your gameplay. And I ended up actually for this bedroom putting in like a little like closet area with a big armoire and like a seating bench, and I think it ended up looking really pretty over here, as well as having a vanity. And I end up using these really big cottage living like dresser cabinet things as kind of the end tables for this room, and I think it turned out really nicely. I'm actually thinking about doing something like that for my own bedroom. So we have like normal size nightstands right now, but I would kind of like to get like a bigger dresser kind of thing, like that still serves as like a nightstand but also has the functionality of a dresser, so a little bit bigger for our bedroom. So but that is like not easy to find because of course I need like a really specific dimension, and I don't want something super tall because I still want to use it as a nightstand. Anyways, so that's a struggle like I'm going through right now, which is not a huge one, but it is what I'm dealing with right now. That sounds so silly, I mean, amongst other things. But I end up actually creating this like wardrobe kind of thing over here, which I honestly forgot those items existed. They are so beautiful. I think part of the problem is with Horse Ranch, the issue I have anyways, is a lot of the swatches end up being so distressed that that's not typically what I go for. But like that has some really pretty like wood swatches that don't necessarily look distressed, which I forget that that's there. And I feel like I need to remember that because those are truly like lovely pieces, and you could really build a really nice like little closet area. And I end up just putting in the tall mirror over here and a plant, and it honestly just came out super cozy. And I know I've mentioned this before, but I ended up using this picture on the wall because it just looks like a family portrait, and all of those colors just look so bright and kind of brings the room together here a little bit. And again, just trying to bring in some of that blue from downstairs because I figured, the people living here in this room probably own the house, and like their like aesthetic taste would probably be throughout the home. Like, but I do say that knowing that like even my own home I'm redecorating, like I feel like my bedroom's gonna look different than like my living room and stuff. So I don't know, I feel like I want to go for like a mid-mod kind of feel for my living room downstairs area, but that's not necessarily what I have going on in my bedroom. Anyways, like I feel like I've just come to this own realization that maybe that's not the case, but I feel like I tend to do that for my Sims builds. And I end up doing this really lovely like double sink in here, and then just like honestly I really like the way this turned out. And I will say that I forget too that we have that really nice bathroom cabinet that came with Horse Ranch, and so that's also why I like doing builds that are centered around certain packs, because again it just reminds me of items that are in the game that I kind of forget about. I feel like we're at the point where there's just so many items that I just forget about what items are in there. And I try to utilize the rugs and the beds that came with Horse Ranch. So I end up doing this like for the nursery, this really pretty like animal, like light green kind of like farm animal thing. And then for the kids' bedroom, I do end up putting 2 beds in here with this really cute rug. And I end up putting in the big dollhouse. I do size it down though. If you size it down, I know if you size it down once, the kids can still use it. But I don't know if you size it down more if they can still use it or not. But it obviously makes it a lot more like more manageable to like put in a build, because those things end up being so incredibly large that like where are you even supposed to put it? And I'm trying to remember like when I was a kid, I don't know if I really ever had like, I think I had like a Barbie house, but it was not nearly that big. Like I don't think I ever had any kind of like dollhouse or anything that was quite as large as the ones that we have like in the game. But I don't know, I can't remember. I feel like I've mentioned this before, but I did actually make a build. So like the modern dollhouse that we have in the game, that like white and blue one is its default swatch. I actually made a full-size replica build of it. So that is up on my gallery too if you're interested. That build was huge. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to remember. I think I actually ended up having to do that into 2 videos because it took me so long to build and decorate that house, because it ended up being, I think that was like 3 or 4 stories tall. Like it was insane, but I think it turned out really well being able to utilize like all the stuff we had in the game to make it. But I actually did it in, it was that, what is that? I don't remember the name of that huge lot at the top of Del Sol Valley. Anyways, so that's on the gallery too if that's something you're interested in. But that was a really fun build, and of course there's a speed build for that too if you'd like to see that. But like I said, I ended up going for this kind of like very naturey inspired nursery, and I think it turned out really nice. I still wish we had changing tables for base game. It's still so, well, I don't want to say surprising, it is The Sims, but I am a little disappointed that we didn't get it for base game. I get that maybe we wouldn't have as many options, but it makes me sad that we just don't have it at all for base game, because it's just such like a good part of like having like infants and stuff. Like, you know, if we're gonna have infants in the game, I feel like we should have a changing table. And I will say I kind of swap around some of the items, especially on the right side of the room, trying to kind of fit everything in and to where it like actually made sense. So I think you could easily like age this up to, you know, a toddler and even like beyond, you know, like there's plenty of room here too. I try not to make nurseries too small because eventually the kid will age up and like you will need room for them to actually like grow into like a big kid room. But I do end up actually going into debug and finding like a birth certificate and the little handprints from growing together. I just thought that was super cute on the wall. And I think it's funny because I always like to put that, especially like in gameplay, I put their birth certificate on the wall, but like in real life, I don't know if I've ever seen a birth certificate just like framed and hanging up. I don't know. Let me know if that's something that you've seen, but I just think it's funny that it's something that's, I feel like pretty normal in The Sims to actually just hang up your kid's birth certificate, but I don't know if that's, you know, something that people really do in real life. So I don't know, let me know, because of course I only have my own experiences and there are a lot of people and a lot of experiences in this world, so let me know. And again, just trying to put in some really nice like photography in here. I honestly went through so many different pictures here for this wall. Like it took me a while to decide on what I wanted here, and I didn't want to have too much up here, but I wanted to look cozy, so to have that little nook there with the cabinet and everything right when you walk up the stairs. And this is actually a rather large bathroom, but I do end up like putting in a large counter over there for the sink. I'm trying to remember if I did a double sink. I think I might have just done a single sink in there, although there is room for a double sink, and just kind of putting a wall up here for like the toilet area. And I end up actually putting in like the big basket of toys that came with Parenthood, because I thought it'd be really fun to have that by the bathtub. Like I figured if you've got young kids or something, like bath time, you might have toys and stuff, and so you'd have a big messy tub of just toys that you use in the bathtub. And I do actually include a toddler potty in here as well, even though like this house isn't necessarily set up for a toddler, but either you could very well have one, especially if you have a nursery. It wouldn't take very long for you to then end up with a toddler. So I thought I would just go ahead and include it. And also, like, I think it's so cute, the little, like, I think it came did that one come with cottage living, that really pretty one there that I end up placing? I don't remember, but I end up putting for kids, bathrooms. I love putting a bunch of clutter everywhere because I just feel like they would just have a bunch of stuff all over the place. And I end up finally getting here to to the actual stable, and there's not a ton of stuff in here, because I did want to make sure it was nice and open so that the horses could actually like really get around, and so could your Sims. So I just kind of put some of the like clutter wall items and everything that we got with the pack, and I end up putting like some of the posters we got like on the wall, and I try to put like duplicates of everything since there are like 2 horses here. And although I do put only one like food and water station here, and I do put the little like little hay pieces everywhere because I figured it'd be kind of messy. And I do actually end up, so in the roof piece, since I do have that window, I ended up putting a like flat piece, like room piece up there, and then so that way that I could paint it with like the wood, and then it looks like maybe there's hay up there and stuff like that. Since you can't actually see up there, I thought that would be a nice touch. And then I do end up putting in a big chandelier here as well, and taking out the little ones that were there. It just felt very overwhelming. I think I do end up adding some puck lighting that's kind of inside of the beam so you don't really see them, but it does add, I think, a little bit of extra light in here. And then I can't remember if I end up putting any awards on the wall in here. No, I think I did that in the bedroom. And in the office, I end up having some of the horse riding competition stuff. And I was thinking about putting that like ranch entranceway there, but I remember the first time I built with Horse Ranch, I think I had that on a fence or something, and the horses didn't like walking underneath it. So I don't know if it's something weird that I did on that one particular build, or if that's something that's true of those like entrance ways. I'm not sure. You can let me know if you have more experience with it, but I opted not to put it there because I had issues with it before. And then I end up just putting a truck in the driveway, and I also end up putting that like horse trailer here in the driveway as well. I wasn't really sure where I wanted to put it, but it does end up in the driveway, and just putting a little vegetation here in the middle and just kind of dispersed around. And I actually end up building a little covered area for the mailbox and the trash cans by the road. I just thought that would be really nice because I was trying to put them out there, and I was like, they kind of just feel like they're just sticking out there. You know what I mean? Like they felt kind of weird. So what I actually ended up doing was, it was a whole thing, but I think I used like a flat piece and then put that stuff in there, and I used fencing around it. And then I ended up using this like, I don't know if it's like a little archway pergola kind of thing. I ended up putting it there. I ended up having to use tulle and size it up and kind of combining some pieces to create like an overhang here, because if I wanted to use just like a normal roof piece, it was going to put the roof at the height of a tall wall height, which is not what I wanted. That felt just like way too tall. So you can see I just ended up putting the two pergola pieces kind of back to back so that they kind of overlap and look like they're this like nice little piece. I don't know. I just thought it was a nice little built-in to have here in the front. So a place for your sim to go get their mail and everything. And this hasn't play tested. Hopefully you don't have any issues. I can't remember if I've already mentioned that, but I have play tested it. So hopefully, you know, your sim can do all the things that they need to do. We also end up putting in a pond here in the front because I felt like it was just really empty space there. And I don't know, I just thought it would be really nice to have a little pond. And I used the water swatch to actually, so in case you didn't know, there are different water swatches in the game. Some of them come from packs and some of them come like in base game. And to be honest, I cannot remember if this one is from base game or not, but it is one that just looks like it has little leaves and stuff in it, which I thought would be kind of nice and natural, like with trees around and everything, that it would kind of look like that. And I do end up putting some ducks in there, which ended up looking really cute. I guess technically they're mallards, but just adding in a little more terrain paint. I really like actually adding like dirt terrain paint around where I do stone, because I feel like it looks kind of natural that way if you have stone. And I think it makes it look a little more just like, I don't know, I feel like sometimes when I draw with terrain paint, it looks very like drawn. Does that make sense? It doesn't look super organic, so I feel like that helps a little bit. And of course you can, if it deletes the terrain paint, you can just put in some actual pavement or something if you would like to. But I just really liked the look of the terrain paint, and I end up putting a swing set back here because I figured, you know, with the kids and everything, and we end up putting just a few loungers. And the fire pit actually ends up over there by that tree. So I will say that tree back here that has all the lights in it and everything, it is functional, like it does light up at night. And it is from Debug, and I cannot remember which pack it is from, to be honest, but I did find it in Debug, and I just thought it'd be really pretty back there. And like I couldn't imagine actually having to go and like hang all of those lanterns in it and everything, but it does look really cute at night. And I end up there with a swing set. I move it to the other side, and that's where I actually end up putting the gardening area. And originally I thought I would just have the gardening area just to the side of the pool, but I end up extending it all the way around there and putting like a little fence in, which I thought was really cute. I end up putting the flower arranging table out there as well, and some of the like gardening plots from cottage living out there. So of course you can replace those with planters if you'd like. And I do end up putting in a bee box, as well as like I like the look of those, like what am I trying to say? Those pieces. Like, why am I like blinking? The like gardening dirt. Anyways, I like the look of them, but when you have a bunch of them, it feels really like plain, if that makes sense. So I did end up pulling some like pumpkins and I think some like eggplants, watermelons, like things like that, and some like lettuce out of debug and placing it on there so your sim can just have those. Like I don't know if they're going to function as like they were actually planted, if they're just kind of sitting there for your sim to harvest, but honestly I just like the look of it. So you can of course get rid of those, plant whatever you want to, but especially for screenshots I just thought it looked really nice to have them there. And then out of debug from Cottage Living, I just added in some mushrooms and some of that like little like tufts of grass in there I thought was really cute. And then I put the little stump that lets you have rabbits, and it was so cute when I was taking screenshots. When I came out here to take screenshots of the garden, there was actually a little rabbit like posing for pictures. It was so adorable, so be sure to look out for him. And I say him because I used to have a rabbit that would hang out at our house, and I'm going to miss him, and we named him Fred. So we're going to name him Fred. That is Fred the rabbit, and he is actually in the screenshots. And out here next to the like grill dining area, I ended up putting the nectar station. I actually totally forgot about it until I was just kind of like, what do I put here? And going through the skill building items and found that. So I thought that would be really nice. Of course, I know it ages a little bit better in a basement, so if you wanted to add a basement into the lot, that kind of thing, and move that stuff down there, you are more than welcome to do so. And then I thought about putting that chicken coop there. I put it and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I ended up taking it out and just placing in the fire pit because I don't know, I kind of like that better instead of loading it down with just a bunch of stuff that your sim has to keep up with. But of course you can put that in there if you would like to, and if you want to have chickens or sheep or goats or whatever on this lot, or putting in one of the barns there too, you're totally welcome to do that. And so just kind of making it really nice out here. I ended up putting like a guitar, just like a little lantern out here. I figured, you know, your sims can go out here, roast marshmallows, like play a guitar, and like, I don't know, I think it'd be like really nice, to be honest. I feel like this would be a cute vacation home, to be honest, other than like the real life stuff that's here, if that makes sense. And just trying to, I actually almost forgot about the front porch too. So I'm going to put the finishing touches on that front porch, a little place to sit, all of that kind of good stuff. But if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And I hope you have a really sweet day. Bye everybody.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know, if I'll ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down. Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know, if I'll ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high.